secretary for a few years. I'm not sure exactly how many. She can fill you in more on that than I can. And she is out there sitting right now wondering how this is going to be scheduled. So why don't we just give a big welcome to Susan Sackett.
I'll stand, and if you can't see me, why don't you stand? We'll all be in the same thing together. Thank you very much for that welcome. I'm very surprised to find myself up here because I began working for Gene 3 years ago, as he said he didn't know how many years. And the very first time I went to a convention with Gene, I went to San Diego, and he introduced me from the audience, and I sort of stood up and went, and slumped way down in my seat again, and he said, "Don't do that. Someday you're going to be up there yourself." I said, "No way." So here I am anyway. And it's nice to see all of you heathens here this morning, along with the rest of us. I hope to answer the questions that you may have on the movie, and rather than ask what you'd like to know, I'll start out and tell you what we know and what I know, and then you'll probably ask me the same things again anyway, because I know this from experience. You tell everybody they're going to do so-and-so, and someone in the back will raise his hand and say, "Well, tell me, what are they going to do with so-and-so?" We have been at Paramount Pictures now for, it'll be 2 years next month, trying to get this movie going. Some of you are wondering why. Can you say me? I know it's dark up here. Well, I'm here. You hear this voice coming from someplace. Some of you are wondering, why is it taking so long for this picture to get started? Good question. We've had, you probably heard rumors, we've had so many writers in and for years trying to get a story going. Gene had the honor of having his script be the first one to be refused. However, this will soon become a bantam book called The God Thing by Gene Roddenberry. It'll be out later this year. So even though the film was not produced, Bantam grabbed the novelization right. And of course now maybe Paramount will buy it back from him and make a movie out of it. Very strange business. We've had a few people, such as Harlan Ellison. Harlan was going to do a story about the end of the universe. They said, "Give us something bigger." How about getting some Incas and Mayans in your story? He knew he was in trouble then. We had Bob Silverberg turn in a treatment, John D.F. Black, and a few others. No one did a final script, however. They did stories, so whatever rumors you've heard, there's only been one script. Now we have a second script, which was just completed last month. It's by Chris Bryant and Alan Scott. They're English writers, and you probably have read some things about them that I have written and others have written. This story, now, Chris and Alan have now moved on to their other projects. They spent 6 months writing this particular story, which I can't tell you anything about, sorry. I'll tell you a little about it later. And as is the custom in our business, when a script is written, you usually do not go with the very first draft. This is true of anybody, including things that Gene has written or anyone else. So the way it stands now, we are having that particular script rewritten. There will be certain changes in it, so it's not ready to be shot. Who will rewrite it? We don't know yet. We may bring in an outside writer, or, sorry, we may have Gene himself working with our director, Phil Kaufman, putting together a rewrite. Gene just finally returned from London. He was over in England for 3 months completing Spectre, which is going to be on NBC next month. We're not sure of the air date yet. We're waiting to hear from the network. It should be May 16th, but that's tentative. Anyhow, I'll tell you about that later, but that's complete. So Gene returned from London, and he and our director, Phil, and our executive producer, Jerry Eisenberg, have been knocking their heads together all week. They all took off for vacation this week. So when they get back from vacation, we'll find out just what direction the script will be taking. Meanwhile, plans are now beginning on some of the construction and some of the design. Not construction yet, but the design. We have signed a production designer. Now, in motion pictures, a production designer is equivalent to what is known as an art director in television. In other words, they do the same function, they just have a fancier title. Our production designer, I can't announce the name yet, but it will be announced in a couple of weeks. A very talented man. He designed a lot of the James Bond films and the 7% Solution, a lot of major motion pictures. So he is now working on some of the new designs of the Enterprise, together with Gene's overseeing the project, and he seems to be very excited about some of the new designs. Question, how much will the Enterprise, I'm asking my own questions. I know this because I hear them all the time. How much will the Enterprise be changed? I had a letter last week from somebody, you can see the tears coming through the writing in the letter. We love the Enterprise, you can't do this to us. It's like Old Glory, it's changing an institution here. Superman's costume hasn't been changed in 50 years. How can you do this to the Enterprise? You will recognize the Enterprise. You've got a good thing going there. We're not going to change it that much. It'll be prettier. This is the term that Jerry has been using, our executive producer. It'll look prettier. It will be immediately recognized. You'll know it's the Enterprise and not an Apollo capsule or something. Yes. Someone thought we were showing the film in here. In the program, if you look in your program, it says Susan Sackett, the future of Star Trek, the motion picture. It sounds like showing it in here.
Oh,
For those of you that haven't heard, it's not finished yet. If it were, I'd be watching it too. Amazed. So the Enterprise will be recognized as the Enterprise you've always known. We have a budget on the movie right now that the studio has given us of $8 to $9 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of bread. When you're spending that kind of money, you got to spend it on something. So besides the talent and the crews and the artwork and all of that and salaries, we've got a lot left over to do a beautiful ship and beautiful sets, and we don't have to redress the sets. You don't have to make the hall serve as the hallway that goes to the transporter and that goes to Captain Kirk's quarters and the hall going. We can use this different sets. The television show was limited. They had $186,000 per episode to shoot with, and if they didn't have any more, they just used the same thing twice and redressed the set. So we can make a very elaborate-looking Enterprise. It will be the same Enterprise that we know, but it will be bigger and better. There will be areas in the film that we'll see of the Enterprise that we've never seen before. The rec rooms, the bio labs, a lot of different areas. And so these are some of the things that will be designed from scratch, and we'll get a chance to see some exciting new things too. But don't worry, the Enterprise will be the same. When will we get to see this movie? About 3 years ago, we thought. Right now, we're aiming for a release date worldwide, which would be July 4th, 1978. In order to get this film out to you by then, we are hoping to be into full shooting, principal photography, production type stuff. You can tell I've been in this business a long time. We hope to begin principal photography in August of this year, late August, perhaps not until September. Because this type of picture is not like throwing together a Western. You get a couple of horses and typical costumes. You have to design everything. You have to invent the costumes. You have to invent scenery. You have to invent, and then special effects work takes at least 6 months after shooting. So with about a 12-week shooting schedule, we would hope to have the film ready to see by July 4th of next year. We're hoping. Keep your fingers crossed, and it's about all we can do too. Will the original cast be in the picture? This is the question that we're asked most of all questions. Bake it for about 10 minutes. Signed, security. Okay. Would you like to hear my impressions of Walter? I thought I'd been doing that pretty well. Where was it? Has the original cast been signed? No one has been signed, and quite frankly, the very last thing on our agenda will be to sign the actors. As some of you might even be reading now about the Superman film that's being done over in England. Ilya Sackett. They felt like, I don't know, $20 million production going there, or $15 million. They haven't signed Lois Lane yet. They just signed the guy who plays Superman. These things are usually, for one thing, they want to keep you in suspense. It's a good gimmick, sort of, you know. Everybody's wondering who's going to be in it, and it generates some interest in the film, but that's not why they're doing it. Mainly, there are so many more important details that have to be worked out to get a film going than just signing up the actors. First, you have to have the final script to show them. And all of our original Star Trek actors are very anxious to be in the film, but not too anxious because, you know, if they say, oh yeah, right, they're not going to have any bargaining at all. I mean, they'll have to accept the first offer. This is business, a little politics. But, you know, they want to get paid for their job, and they naturally aren't going to shout, yeah, wowee. But secretly, they all would like to be in it, as they know. And we're hoping to have all of the original cast. There are parts being written for everyone. And they've all expressed their interest, and we're confident that there will be all the stars back up there on the screen. Plus a few new ones. There may be some new characters in the script. We've written in a new female and a new male part, so that we can have some other actors in there as well. Guest stars, they're called. But I have no idea who they'll be yet. It's a little early to tell. So, let's see. I know I haven't answered all of the questions. I'm trying to second guess you so that you won't have anything to ask me. And I can get out of here now. I gotta sell books. I'll tell you about my book for a second, then I'll take your questions on the movies. I just happen to have a bunch of copies with me over there. Let me get one to hold up in case some of you have never seen it before, which I'll kill you.
Who's this dog?
This is, the light is so poor. I know you can't see me here, but this is the copy. There is a film. Thanks. Thank you. I take it most of you have read this. If you haven't, I'll be happy to sell you a copy later.
We got two.
I just happen to have a few hundred with me. I'll also be in the dealer's room, and I'll be glad to autograph copies you may have, and if you don't have one, I'll sell you one. Oh, what's the title? Good question. You can tell I've been selling books for quite a while. Letters to Star Trek. I'll just tell you, those of you that don't know anything about it, and those of you that do, bear with me. Those of you that don't, as I said, I've been with Gene now for close to 3 years, and in that time I have seen just about every kind of letter you can imagine, and somebody suggested to me that these be put together in a book, and I spent about a year getting some of the best letters together. I went back through files going all the way back to the beginning of Star Trek, plus the ones that were coming in all the time. And there are letters in here from children, all the way through to NASA scientists and professors. There's a whole chapter on education in Star Trek. Letters from people all around the world. And it's an interesting collection. I had a lot of fun doing it, and it's fun to read. I enjoy going back and looking at it myself. And I don't know, the thing that gives me the greatest kick are some of the pictures in here that I took. The ones that don't have a name that says photo by somebody are usually ones that I took, some of Gene around the office, and I love to take pictures, it's one of my hobbies. And there's some terrific comments on things by Gene in here. He was very nice when I did this. He sat down with me for a couple of days and gave me some interviews, and his comments, as well as some of his answers to the letters, are in here, and his philosophy and all that. It's a lot of fun, so buy it. Okay. I'll take your questions on the film. Right here.
Since they're going to put in maybe $4 or $5 million on reproducing all the sets, are they going to put it into reproduction as a program or release a series of movies, or or is it just going to be a one-shot deal?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll repeat it for those of you that couldn't hear. Will this movie be a one-shot, or since we'll have all the sets built, will it become a TV series after the film is done? There are several possibilities. Those are all of them. We would like to see it successful. If it is, Gene has had offers from all the networks. They'd all like to see it back. I guess NBC has first rights. He has said, however, that he would never do it again as a weekly series because it's just too time-consuming to try to put out a science fiction movie is what it amounts to once a week. He said at one time that his whole staff was in the hospital suffering from exhaustion when they were working on the original. Everyone suffered from some sort of physical problem. It's just too demanding. However, if it were on TV, he'd like to do something like a mini-series or a rotating series or 2-hour specials, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Since motion pictures are a good thing too, if the movie is successful, we would have continue, sequels and sequels and sequels and so on. Just Bond pictures, they continue going on, and you get different adventures happening. So that's another possibility. So that should take care of that. To answer your question, okay. Young man back there has had his hand up all the time. No. Regarding the dreadnoughts, Franz Joseph Schnaubelt, who is the designer and inventor of the lovely, very lovely tech manual and the blueprints, did a lot of that out of his head. And really, he didn't consult with either Gene or Matt Jeffries, who did the original design of the Enterprise. And Gene found that there were some things in there that he just could not accept, that he would not ever want to use in Star Trek. And one of the things is the dreadnoughts, because he just doesn't believe in that sort of thing. He's against violence for violence sake. Another thing would be like the bowling alley on the Enterprise. They've got to have something more imaginative than that, in the future. So, but to answer your question, dreadnoughts would not be used in the film or in any part of Star Trek, as far as I can tell. Dreadnought is a warship. Its generic name means that it's very specifically for battle. They're kind of like Klingons versus dreadnoughts. Yeah.
Well, how about that same idea? How about some of the smaller ships that were in the tech manual, which are essentially a little more peaceful? Just to give some variance to the start.
Yeah, the smaller ships in there. There are some things in there that may work and may fit into the script, and if so, they will be used. But it's difficult to say right now just which ones. We're not using that as a blueprint for the movie. In other words, if there's something there that happens to coincide with what we need, and if the production designer and the artist illustrator thinks that they are worthy and suited to the needs of the film, yes. But it's difficult to tell right now. It doesn't seem like something that we've got in our script that we're rewriting now, so I don't think so. But it could happen.
How come these designs were allowed to be drawn if they weren't clear to Gene?
How come the designs were allowed to be drawn if they weren't clear to Gene? The publisher at that time was not asking for his opinion. And Franz Joseph originally designed it, they are now, by the way, but he designed it as a fan. He is a fan, and he did this in his capacity as a fan. And it was very popular, and Valentine Books, who is my publisher, so I won't say anything against them, liked it and published it. And the first time Gene saw it was when it had already been published. And he began talking with the people in the legal department of Paramount and with both licensees, Bantam and Valentine, saying, could you please, and this, also this happened after Spock Messiah too, because he didn't get to consult on that. But with all the novels and books and things that are coming out now, Sandra Marshak and Myrna Culbright have a whole slew of things coming out. The Price of the Phoenix and just dozens of others. He asked them to allow him to read manuscripts in advance from now on, so this is what will be happening. So that answers your question why there haven't been any guidelines released before. It's happening now, so you should be getting better quality. How about a lady? All right, let's have a question from this man right there.
I was wondering if they would be able to write in any other alien crew members of the Enterprise.
Will they write in any other alien crew members? Well, I can't give too much of the story away on this script because things change and evolve, and you'll say, well, where's the so-and-so? You told us, you know. If not alien, unusual. How's that? There'll be some interesting characters. Just a moment, I was going to go down. Sorry, I'll get to you.
Did the people who wrote the Star Trek comics ever consult with the Roddenberry?
Did the people who wrote the Star Trek comics ever consult with Gene Roddenberry? Western Publications, Wallace Green is the executive there, did get in touch with Gene about a year ago and brought him some of their dreadful comics. You won't find me saying too many nasties, but that's one. They had them going in rockets with fire coming out of them and things like that. And Gene said, what are you doing to my creation here? He gets very uptight. It's like his child. I can't blame him. He said, I think you could benefit from having somebody to consult with you. And the last we heard, they were going to be getting in touch with Alan Asherman, I think, in New York, who's a fan and also an artist and is very knowledgeable about Star Trek. But I haven't heard anything about this recently, but he was going to be getting some help on the comics because he needed them badly. And if you have any comments like that, write to the comic book publishers and tell them, say, you know, we're dissatisfied with Star Trek. We want it to be an authentic comic book because they would like it to be good too. And if someone writes and tells them that, that's the only way they're going to. Same thing with television. If you like a television show, whether it's Star Trek, Fantastic Journey, you probably saw Jared Martin yesterday if you want to save that show. And Spectre, which is coming on next month, Gene's show, is up for a series, but letters can help swing it over the line. You know, if they see people are really interested, they'll go for the series. You've got to speak up and let people know what you want. So write to NBC and tell them you want Spectre, even though you haven't. Wait till you've seen it and then tell them. Seriously, because if you write before it's been on the air, they'll know that you're pushing for Roddenberry series. They're onto it. Lady in the green.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of Roddenberry's other projects, has anything ever developed with regard to the Questor series?
No, Questor is kind of a dead issue at the moment because ABC had their $6 million man, which was doing so well. Why did NBC need Questor, right? That's their thinking. So that's not doing too much. However, he's got a lot of things that are going to be considered as pilots. One is called Battleground Earth, which he's working on with CBS and 20th Century Fox. And so far it's just in the script stage, but they are going to shoot it later this year, we think, as a pilot. I'll briefly tell you what it's about. It's kind of an invasion of Earth type story. It's Earth in the immediate future. And we have been taken over by aliens benevolent aliens, supposedly, who brought us cures for cancer and solved all of the world's problems, and they're here on Earth. And the thing is, are they benevolent? And if they're not, what can be done? So an underground group develops and all that sort of stuff. So this is being worked on right now. He also has a project with Paul McCartney coming up, and the rumors that are getting confused with this you would not believe. We have strangest things. People think Paul McCartney's writing the soundtrack to Star Trek. They think he's writing the soundtrack to Spectre. I don't know how these things get started. Here's what is happening with Paul. Paul McCartney is a big, big Star Trek fan. And when he was in town last year at the Forum, we got a call in the office from Paul McCartney's manager saying Gene and Paul would like to get together. Or Paul would like to get together with Gene. Can you arrange it? And I'm going, Paul McCartney, I just freaked out when I heard that. But they did get together, and Paul and Jean have since worked together in England on a story that is based on an idea that Paul had. Jean has developed it, and it will become a script and will be filmed later this year. It's science fiction with a rock group interwoven, and they will write all of the music, and it's far out. It really is. I've read some of the story. They won't do it for a year because Linda's going to have another kid, so they've got to wait until that. But it should be very exciting, and the two minds together have got to come up with something really far out. Yes. What are the chances of the Star Trek movie winning the Academy Award for Best Picture? And win every award. Star Trek wasn't there. Okay, well, of course it's too early to tell. One interesting thing was that being nominated is in our business is just about as good as winning. And we were very, very pleased and proud this year that Bill Tice, who did the costumes for the Star Trek movie, was nominated. Although he did not win, he was nominated for Best Costume Design for Bound for Glory. And this is really quite an honor, even if you don't win the award. It's like the 5 people in all of Hollywood who are nominated. So we've got, I don't know whether he'll be able to work on our film or not, but we've always had good people working on Star Trek, so we would certainly love to have a shelf full of Oscars someplace. I know Jane would. Good question. Young man would like to know what happened to the animated series. Will it be on TV again? The animated series was canceled by, guess what, low ratings at NBC. It will be back in syndication very shortly. It has just been sold, I believe, to 30 markets around the country. And I don't know what ones they are, but it should be back on very soon. You can write to Filmation and ask them.
I hope not, probably.
I think also NBC did not really give it the proper treatment. They put it in with the children's cartoons in the morning, and they called it cartoon. I think it was, Frank was telling me yesterday, yeah, that when they first announced that it was going to be on in TV Guide way back when, and they were describing all the new fall shows, they had Star Trek, a cartoon for children. Is that it? Yeah. So that was what they thought of it. They didn't. They probably didn't even watch it. There's some good things in there yesteryear. Yeah. How long is the movie? I don't know. It hasn't been made yet. At least as long as any other movie. It'll be a long, regular movie. We'll have lots of time to chew popcorn and lady right there.
How do we go about getting the animated series out of the children's fantasy category and into adult?
Well, how do you get the animated series out of the children's fantasy category and into the adult? I think it's a little late for that now because NBC is not going to put it back on as a network unless you want to write to them and tell them, that you're interested in that. If enough people did, they might. But as far as it's being in domestic syndication, when you find out what local station is going to air it, and if you see them putting it on at 7 a.m. or something weekdays opposite Captain Kangaroo or whatever, tell them you'd like to see it on in the evenings is the same as the regular Star Trek. That's about all you can do with that. That's sort of just been cast aside, I guess.
Since someone else asked about Questor, I guess I could ask about Genesis 2. Is that dead also?
Yeah, that's about the same thing. Genesis 2 was going to be a series, and CBS was very pleased with it. And Gene tells the story that Planet of the Apes, until Planet of the Apes had aired, Genesis 2 had had the all-time record for ratings on a TV movie. And then they put on Planet of the Apes, and it went, I don't know how many Nielsen points higher, and the CBS executives went crazy and said, we've got to get some apes in Genesis 2. Shows where their heads were at, and Genesis 2 never got on the air. They got their own little series going called Planet of the Apes, which was on, I don't know, Friday nights at 8 or something, and didn't do very well. But it's just, it shows what the brass at networks, the way they're thinking goes. That's another dish.
Is G working on anything similar to that?
Not at the moment. Yes.
Do you think the new movie will ever hit TV?
It's difficult to say. Most movies do end up on TV these days. But that would probably be, I don't know, it takes a few years until they do get on TV. It's possible, sure. As long as it's not too, it'll be PG. Just kidding.
Will the movie be the same as the TV series, or will it be a different format?
Will the movie be, that's a good question. Will the movie be the same as the TV series, or will it be a different format? This is one of the problems. And in fact, you've really put your finger on it. This has been the major problem, difficulty that the studio people have had, and that Gene has had, and the executive producer, trying to define just what is a Star Trek movie. It's never been done very well. We had something like McHale's Navy visits King Kong or something, I don't know. TV shows that are made into movies just don't happen. They tried to do it with a couple of Man from Uncle's and it fell through. So they're a little bit, part of the problem is trying to decide what direction does a TV show take when it goes to the screen. You can't have it directed in the same way. You can't go with your close-ups. If you'll notice TV, you've got a lot of close-ups on there because you've got a little screen and you can't fill it with little tiny figures. You've got to have big faces. So it'll look a lot different on the big screen. This is why we want a nice, shiny, big Enterprise that's 125 feet wide. It's going to look like something, or whatever size the big major screen is, 50 feet or whatever. Also, when you have a TV show, you have episodes, and one of the things that we don't want is just to make a big episode and put it in the theaters, because the fans can sit at home and watch episodes on TV for nothing. So you've got to have something in the theaters that's going to bring people out of their homes, that's going to look bigger and better and more exciting, and develop, in this time, develop the characters and give you some insight into where they're at the same time trying to maintain all of Gene's philosophies behind Star Trek, the optimism and the hope. And it's very, very involved and complex, and this is the major reason that it is taking so long to get a script and to get the picture going, because we're not sure just how to put it together. Television shows operate in what is called, if you read, any of you read in the Star Trek Tennial News, my interview with Jerry Eisenberg, I'll tell you about that in a second, but a television show is a closed loop. You start out at the beginning, you've got your characters, you know they're all going to be fine, and you watch them through their dangers. You know every one of them is going to live through it. They're all going to be fine at the end of the show, ready for their next adventure. In the motion picture medium, it's difficult to say because we're working with characters that we already know. But if you go to a movie, you watch everything unfolding. You don't know for certain what's going to happen to whom and how and why and how everybody and everything is going to end up. And things don't always turn out perfectly at the end, ready to go on. So that's part of the problem. It's very complex. I won't bore you with our little problems at the studio anymore. No, he wanted to know, will Star Trek get an Emmy Award for TV? It's not a currently network. It's not currently airing on any of the networks, and shows in syndication, reruns are not nominated for Emmys. That's just not the way it's done. Emmys are really bizarre this year anyway. They may not even air. They're having all kinds of difficulties. But no, at the time it was on, I believe there were several nominations for Emmys. Some of the actors, I think Nimoy was nominated twice, I may be mistaken. But they did receive a lot of Emmy nominations, but it has to be a current network show or a public television show or something like that. Okay. You'd like to know my opinion, and it is my opinion, please, this is not Gene's opinion. My opinion of some of the other science fiction things like Space 1999, Logan's. I think Space 1999 was a lot better this year. I liked some of the shows, not all of them, but here's a little quiz for you. Let me ask you some questions. I'm doing this in my next newsletter. Let me tell you what the newsletter is. It's called Star Trek Tennial News, and it's Lincoln Enterprises fan club, and I edit it 6 times a year, and you can get a Lincoln Enterprise catalog by writing to Box 69470, LA 90069. And, okay, Lincoln Enterprises, P.O. Box 69470, LA 90069. Yeah, it's in there, right. Okay, what was I telling you this for? Oh, okay. In the newsletter, next issue, I'm running a little quiz. See if you can identify this television show. Number 1, the leader's initials are J.K. Number 2, the second in command is an alien with pointed eyebrows. The science officer is an alien with pointed eyebrows. Number 3, they have scanners and communicators. Number 4, they had an episode called The Immunity Syndrome. Number 5, the communications officer is a black woman. Number 6, several episodes were produced by a man named Freddie Freiberger.
That's not
And there was a 7th one that I can't remember. What show am I talking about? Space 1999, believe it or not, or Star Trek. So you can draw your own conclusions from that. I think that might be why I liked Space 1999 better this year. Logan's Run, I understand, is going to be made into a series. They're thinking of making a television series. Don't ask me how.
With a robot.
I thought the costumes were pretty.
Oh, really?
Man over here.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and it won an award. You're right. The Star Trek animated did win an award right after it was canceled. Yeah, they do strange things over your other quickies. No, he wants to know who will be doing the score. We're getting records from every rock singer and composer in town, and they all Moody Blues. I mean, they're all sending us their record albums to try to get Gene interested in recording their music for the soundtrack, but I don't think that's the kind of thing. We're interested in something with a little bit more quality, and it's difficult. It's too early to say what will be used for the score, but it'll be as significant as the music in 2001 was to that film. Doesn't mean we're going to use the Blue Danube, folks.
Sure.
Stop noise pollution, use sign language. Yeah, you're thinking of the novel that Gene's working on based on his first script. This is not the one we're using the film, where Kirk has been promoted to admiral, and it's after the 5-year mission, and Dr. McCoy is a veterinarian in the South. and Spock is off on Vulcan meditating on, what is he really, and trying to get his head together once again. And this is the beginning. This is how it begins, and then they all get together for this mission that they have to go on. This will be in Gene's novel. It was the original script that he wrote. So we've heard that Kirk is an admiral, and Uhura is a captain, and Sulu is a captain, and that's true. But not in our film. Paramount didn't like that one. Anyone here from Paramount?
I was wondering if Grace Lee Whitney is going to be in the film.
Is what?
Grace Lee Whitney is going to be in the film?
Grace Lee Whitney going to be in the film. We would like to see her in the film, and there will be as many of the original people as we can get in there. I talked with Phil Kaufman. He said, you can be in the film. I said, oh, fine. Gene can be in the film. We're all going to be in the film. We're hoping that, but it's, as I said, no one has been signed, so we can't really say. We'd like them all to be in it. Way back there. What time frame will the movie be in? It'll be in the future. What? There will be very little that will be mentioned. Well, it'll be continuation of the 5-year mission or immediately thereafter. We never finished the 5-year mission. We only had, 3 years?
No, you have
We got 2 years to go, and then they can have another 5-year mission. But it'll focus on the future and right immediately after they've been out. They're not even supposed to have completed it, I don't think. Which is going to be a great makeup job.
Will we, in the movie, will we get to see what Earth looks like in their future?
Yes, I hope so. Gene would like this very much. I don't never hear the question. You will get to see what Earth looks like in the future. This was one of the really good things in the script that they turned down that Gene did, and so it'll be written about. But yeah, we'd love to show you the Earth in the future. It'll not be the world of Genesis 2, because Gene didn't really think that was the way the future would be going. It was just one thing, but this would be the way he'd like to see it. It'd be great.
Will the movie delineate Will it delineate Balkan culture any further?
Yes. We hope so. You're really starting to get into the story, and I promised you I couldn't tell you that. These little, camouflage questions, but there is a scene that I can't tell you about. Which shows some of Vulcan and Spock with some of the Vulcan elders and things that they do. And, it's very interesting. There'll also be some of that in Gene's novel, too. Frank, you gonna tell me my time? Except when Ray Bradbury comes in here. No. Do you really want to sit there and watch the movie and learn all about relativity and mathematics and take out your pencils? He would, because he's a math student. Just take it as it is, folks. Warp drive is there.